While the killings have evoked messages of sympathy and support from around the globe, they've struck with sickening resonance at the hearts of one small group of people. Tracy Bowden speaks to those forced to live forever with the legacy of random killings.
My stomach sank, actually. That's what that was the very first reaction of mine. And then I thought of all those that are left behind, and all of those that had to start to deal with this. And then I thought of my own events and what happened to me first. And so the cycle of events actually came up for me.
Senior detectives say this is one of the worst mass murders in Sydney's history.
January the 23rd, 1987, Sandy McGregor's darkest day. It began when police knocked on his front door.
Took me into the rear lounge room and sat down, and then said to me, "We've got some really bad news that we're going to tell you about." He said, "Your daughters have been killed." And I said, "What? All of them?" And they said, "Yes, all of them."
The gunman shot the first girl at the front door. Alexandra McGregor was fatally wounded in the head.
Sandy McGregor's 3 daughters and a friend were shot dead in their own home.
I said, "Jenny?" And they said, "Yes." This is where the disbelief comes in. You just don't believe. "Kirsty?" "Yes." "Lexi?" "Yes."
The other 2 attempted to run, but were gunned down.
And they said they were murdered. Murdered? Who by? Are you sure you've got the right place? Are you sure, why are you telling, And it was just sort of query after query after query. I was arguing with them, basically. I just didn't believe it, initially.
9 years on, he knows better than most what the survivors of the Port Arthur killings are going through.
Shock probably really started for me the next day. And I wandered around like a zombie. But I believed it then. And then, for me, the process of, after wandering around like I didn't even go back into my office. Right? In fact, I never went back into my office. But for me, hatred started probably like a week to 2 weeks later. Anger, revenge. God, why me?
In many ways, life is random. We all believe that life is fair in some way, or that it's predictable in some way, and that, we can almost forecast what the day's going to be like. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, on a day where people are going on a weekend picnic, there is someone who snaps and becomes a murderer.
1987, Melbourne's Hoddle Street. 6 dead, 19 wounded. Queen Street, 1988. 8 people gunned down in the Australia post offices. 1991, Strathfield Shopping Plaza in suburban Sydney. 7 dead. Dr. Gary Fulcher counselled some of the survivors.
Most people actually recover quite well after trauma. However, somewhere between 10 and 20% of people almost never get over it. So they will be affected for the rest of their lives. A tragedy such as this has a ripple effect right through the community. In Tasmania, it's like the centre of that ripple, and therefore much stronger. But throughout the country, the ripple will be felt, and people will be thinking about, well, what does this mean in terms of my life, my safety, the predictability of my future.
Sandy, from your experience, can you offer any advice to people grieving tonight?
Express your feelings. Cry when you feel like crying. Don't be brave. Yeah, all those sorts of things.
But I guess the hardest thing is that people look for answers and often there are none.
That's so true. I doubt whether there's an answer to this one. I mean, this is one of the worst events in the world. There's no, there won't be an answer to this.
Next, how does the mind of a mass killer work?